Thank you for joining us all, folks. This is the Relentless Pro Wrestling press conference for This Means War.
I was super hyped to do this match. I've always wanted to wrestle JBD, and it's on his birthday nonetheless. Like, I feel betrayed. Because JBD, you were someone who I considered a really good close friend. I've trained with you on multiple occasions. You know, I had nothing but the highest regard for you. So for you to gift her this and for her to think it was a good idea to wear this during one of my promos when I'm trying to show you respect, I'm not going to be able to keep my cool and composure, okay? I don't believe in getting disqualified to... Hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of being stressed out about this. I think
I've been undefeated at Relentless Pro Wrestling. Everyone from Fora, Matthias, JF3000, choked out, knocked out, left in the middle of the ring and the pool sweat. So Rillawolf is no different. He steps in the ring with me, I'm going to wear him down, I'm going to put him to sleep.
Savanna. I think she would do well from just a good old-fashioned ass-kicking, honestly. Maybe. Who knows? If she plays it straight, I will too. But if she wants to play games, I can play games.
You shut your freaking mouth when I'm talking. You tell these damn three idiots, these three stooges, to sit down, be professional, and shut their goofy asses up. This has become so personal. It is something funny. Something over there tickle your fancy? Shut the hell up when I'm talking. To answer your question, sir, this is personal. Emphatically, this is something that I quite honestly did not foresee. But since we're here, it's time to handle business.
Life is all about heartbreak, you hear me? Hey, shut your mouth, I'm talking right now, you hear me? Shut your mouth! Don't touch me! You want to talk about heartbreak? I've got my emotions in check. I'm focused, I'm ready, I've never been better. And I'm going to kick your favorite's ass on this next coming up show. You can bank on it. And as a matter of fact, I'm done talking. I want to kick your fucking ass right now.
Why don't we do this right now, baby? Why don't we go, baby?
I'm Ben Raymond, aka the Orange County Hammer from Relentless Pro Wrestling, and I'm drinking at Moe's.
And I'm Tom Dupre, aka Billy Bonds. I'm the owner, promoter, and booker at Relentless Pro Wrestling, and I am drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started, that I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's
All right, everybody, welcome Drinkin' at Moe's. Big Mo here. As always, you know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Helps with that pain in the ass algorithm they got over there. We're most places you can find your audio podcast too. Today, I'm excited to have with me two of the guys behind Relentless Pro Wrestling out of California, hyping up a big show they got coming up for, Veterans Day. I love a good Veterans Day show, being a Navy veteran myself. How are y'all doing?
Good. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. I've had some good stuff coming up. I've got, a show that a little closer to me than you guys that I'm pretty hyped up for. And,
can't complain. I'm inching closer to 200 interview episodes, so I'm really going hard here.
And the level of talent that you've had interviewed on your show is absolutely incredible.
It is.
You've had from the local level to some of the national level. It's really impressive.
Oh yeah, I've been pretty damn lucky. I've got items that have been sent to me from a few to, like, I'm a fan of the deathmatch scene, and I've been lucky enough to have some pretty big names from that on the show, including two of my personal favorites that are still going right now. And one of them, I have an item sent to from behind me here from John Wayne Murdoch himself. And I'm rather proud of these because I don't own too many ring-worn items, but signed ring-worn kick pads from Alex Colon.
Very cool.
So yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I've been pretty lucky, pretty blessed.
You'll have to stay with Ben on the deathmatch scene. That's not my groove.
Yeah, hey, everybody's got their own taste. No, it's been kind of described like the genres of wrestling being similar to flavors of ice cream. Yep. Some people love one or over another, and then you got people like me that put wrestling on in front of me, put ice cream in front of me. I'm enjoying every bit of it.
You're eating both.
It doesn't have raisins. I mean, Psychopath has raisins in their ice cream.
Oh, God, yeah, no. That, don't get me started on raisins. That's like with dang chocolate chip cookies. When you think you're going to have one, and then you bite in and it's a goddamn raisin.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh, that's great.
I talk about a little bit of everything here. Yep. But you guys got a pretty big show coming up as of recording this a week from tomorrow. But Veterans Day, a day I love because, I mean, like I said, Navy veteran here. And you guys.
Me too.
You guys sent me a little clip of some of the press conference. And I'm like, okay, you guys got my dang attention, because a lot of that press conference, it's like the tension was evident. It was building, and like, I'm like, holy crap, I want to know how this damn thing goes.
Yeah, the angle, the feud, the arc, whatever you want to call it, surrounding the main event for this one, which, by the way, is almost entirely Ben's baby, is huge. It is the biggest, hottest, hottest running, whatever you want to call it, feud and angle that in the short 1 year history of our little promotion here. And like I said, it's Ben's baby. He's been managing it, and he's also in the thick of it on camera and at ringside, and so he can actually tell you more about it. But it's wild, and it's his.
Well, I mean, and not on purpose there. I mean, it's one of those things that just happened and it grew. To give the backstory, Savanna Stone, who's an absolute fantastic women's wrestler, who's been on most of our cards because of how good she is. The first show she came in, she wrestled Jada Vanity, and
no.
I'm sorry.
Her first show was
against Johnny Robbie. I'm sorry, yes, against Johnny Robbie.
Yes.
And after that show, she had some choice words for me in the promotion, which, kind of surprised me. And then when the next show she was on, she wrestled Jada Vanity, and she was seconded at the time by James Brady, and Jada had her twin, Jordan in her corner. And Savanna at the end of that match, even though James interfered in most of the match, told me that it was unfair. It was 2-on-1, and she pushed me in the chest. And And also at the start of that match, Bulk Beef Jerky, who's one of our sponsors, Savanna took a packet of their beef jerky off their table, opened it, and in a look of disgust, turned around and she hurled it at Jace, who's the owner of Bulk Beef Jerky, almost hitting him. So she insulted one of our sponsors.
Oh yeah, that ain't good.
The next show, she's wrestling, and during shows I wear a towel around my neck because it's very very hot. She took that towel and she kind of almost playfully tried to saw my head off with it, then took it and threw it into the audience. And the next show, it was a case of she wasn't wrestling, but James Brady was wrestling on the card, and she was seconding James. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. In between that show and the show where James is wrestling a singles match, I went to Jason and I said, "Look, we've got a problem here, and I think we can work together and solve this if you're willing to bankroll it." And so Jace put up the money, and I went looking for someone to get revenge for us on James Brady since he was going to be wrestling on the card. And I found Mr. AJ Mana, who is a Marine veteran as well. And they had a match, and it ended in dubious circumstances. And so that leads to the tag team, where Rixter came in and helped AJ out because he was being double teamed. And now we have a tag team match between AJ Mana and Rixter versus James Brady and Thad Maximus, also known as Dem Bullies, because they never grew up apparently. So,
all right, yeah, I'm familiar with old Rixter there. He's a former guest of the show. That was a fun one. Got to talk about a little bit of all sorts of stuff there. So I was excited to see him on the card.
Yeah, well, that's actually his. God, I think he's been on all but one of our shows, and the only reason he wasn't on the one is we have weight classes at RPW, and we treat them like a shoot. I basically, when I book somebody for a match in a weight class, I tell them, I say, don't give me your build weight. If I put you on a scale right now, what would it say? Rixter is a light heavyweight with us in that regard. And the fourth show, the only one he wasn't at, was our heavyweight title tournament. And in that specific case, Rixter is minimum 40 pounds lighter than the heavyweight cutoff. So he couldn't obviously be a part of that, but he has been a part of every other show and like with a bullet.
That's awesome. I was gonna say, when I was looking at the poster that you guys sent, like I got that vibe when I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, that looks like they actually have, the actual weight limits, like how some places kind of used to be, but they kind of went away from it in a lot of places.
Right. And they, a lot of places even that have had them have always kind of fudged them. There's like a real gray area, or even if a place had weight classes, they would still have a 180-pound guy challenging their 245-pound heavyweight champion, and nobody would say anything about it. For us, not only do we have the classes, we insist on the classes. It's shoot weights, and we don't have what they call catch weight matches, unless the plan will be down the road, and we're talking less than once a year, but there will be some where the angle or the gimmick, whatever, hopefully we'll get where the fans demand it. And I've even got a a catchy show name for a show down the road where such a thing happens, I would call that particular show the Nuclear Option.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
The majority of our show names have all had some reference to the military or to war or so forth,
or to something pertinent to that show or to somebody that figures on that show. I take pride in the name of our shows. We have not had you know what, this sounds good, I guess this will work for this show. We haven't had one yet like that. I take pride in the names of our shows and what they mean.
I was gonna say, I've been keeping up with you guys since we've added each other there on the Facebook, and seeing a lot of the event posters. I'm like, okay, they can really get these catchy names, because some promotions, they kind of struggle with it a little bit, but you guys come up with some pretty good stuff for the names of your shows, and I would definitely take pride in that.
A sidebar that isn't really a sidebar. I am an aspiring writer, an aspiring novelist. On a laptop here at home, I've got like 5 or 6 partial to first draft completed attempts at novels.
Ooh.
And while I had put down the pen for a little while anyway, just kind of giving it a rest, but then wrestling came along and pretty much put the pen down for a while, or at least the author pen, because this is my creative outlet. The booker and promoter in me is the writer in me. So again, that's why some of the angles are the way they are. That's where the show names come from. It all comes from the creativity that pretty much makes me me.
I can see how both worlds could mesh together pretty well there.
Yep.
All right, now we talked about the main event. Now we got the semi-main here. How about we go into that one?
Okay, well, that one, as I said, the main event is like Ben's baby and the story that goes with it. And I don't want to. There's some I want to share, and some that I have to be careful not to give away if I start running off at the mouth. But the people involved in the semi-main event for this one are, for me, the biggest growing and longest running story arc that will have the most impact on RPW overall, right there. We have it's Inferno Abdul, Kader, managed by Triple M, and Inferno has been climbing our card. He started out managed by Azrael, and then that just didn't work out for reasons we don't need to go into.
Yeah.
But Triple M kind of picked up the baton, because at our tournament show, Inferno was not in the tournament. And at some point, pretty conveniently, in the entrances or intros to Big E's first round tournament match with Duke Lawrence, Inferno, who happened to be there in the crowd, stood up and started to make his displeasure with not being there. And then all of a sudden, here comes Bear, our chief enforcer. And Bear is basically the largest man in the building, and it almost doesn't matter who's in the building. He's bigger than even like the biggest wrestlers. He's just so Bear's trucking down toward Inferno, and we're about to have World War III at ringside. Never mind the two guys that are in the ring. And Triple M, who also happened to be in the crowd, popped up between them, risking his own life. But it turns out for all the wrong reasons. But he basically got between Bear and Inferno, stopped them from, got Inferno to back down and walk it off, and ultimately became his manager because of that. He's managed him for the first time at our last show against JF3000. And they won that one, as I said at our press conference. They won that one through dubious means, like they tend to do, but they did win that one. And now we have Rillawolf. Rillawolf's got history too. Once upon a time, he was on the wrong side of things, and Triple M managed him in a match with Biggie before Biggie was champion. And then with the story we've got going there, we've kind of turned, we've hurt Rillawolf and kind of turned him good in the process, because Triple M discarded him after he couldn't get it done, quote unquote, against Biggie. And so now Triple M's new monster is taking on the guy that Triple M, tossed aside like yesterday's news after that previous match. So there's a lot of history here, and a very long-running story involving both of the guys in the ring and our champion. Who while he won't be competing that night, he will be there. He'll have a merch table, and he'll be meet and greeting with the fans and all that. So, and
Biggie's a family man. He always has his wife and his young son with him. And as a matter of fact, on our heavyweight tournament show, A King's Ransom, Biggie was escorted to the ring by his 5-year-old son. And they surprise everybody by having matching ring gear.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Biggie does everything for his son and for his family.
Yeah, to that end, real quick, tearjerker sidebar there. At a recent show, Biggie told me that Little Ray, his son, would take the belt, our championship belt, and hold it up and run around the house with it. And he would go to his mom like she had no idea and be like, "Oh, my dad won this," and blah, blah. She would do this so often and so emphatically that his mother, Sarah, actually made him a belt of his own. So, I mean, it's just really, really cool. Biggie loves Little Ray. They've got a great little family there, and yeah, he's a family man, and his legacy is kind of what we're about here.
That's awesome.
If I can sidebar real quick onto that with the title, our title is called the SoCal Regional Heavyweight Championship. So the title it's not our belt as far as having our name on there. The title is meant to be and has been defended all over SoCal. Biggie's had a defense down in San Diego. He's had a defense in Compton. He's had a defense in Baldwin Park, and a couple of defenses now, if I'm right, Billy, up in Hesperia.
Well, yeah, he wasn't in Compton.
Oh, he has a defense in Compton. Okay.
It's San Diego. He won it in Orange. He defended it in San Diego. He defended it again in Orange. He defended it in Baldwin Park and then Hesperia. Okay. But yes, it is a true Southern California championship. I say this, and I've actually gotten a little bit of flack, a little bit of heat for it. But the holder of that belt is the heavyweight wrestling champion of Southern California, period.
Hey, when you're the champion traveling, defending the belt and not just centered in one spot, Hey, kind of hard to argue that.
But anyway, yeah. So the story before we got on the belt and on Biggie and that great family legacy, the story of our semi-main event with Inferno and Rillawolf not only rivals that of the story of our main event, but it is actually a very long, ongoing story that will determine a lot of the future of RPW.
So I can imagine. I know you mentioned with your champ being there, I imagine he'll be, keeping a close eye on how that match there turns out. And I imagine whoever comes out on top there, more than likely in line for a shot at his belt. So kind of would make sense that he would keep an eye on that one.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Now, we kind of talked a little bit about Savanna Stone and the women's match you guys got going on for your show. How about we go in a little bit more on that one?
Well, I actually want Ben to take that one, but I want to throw in really quick.
Okay.
Because Ben did something pretty cool and it got a lot of attention and it got a gnarly reaction from Savanna when coming out of the James Brady AJ Mana match at the September show. When we put together, because Rixter came out and intervened after James and Savanna teamed up, cheated to beat AJ. They then decided it would be a good time to put the boots to him. Rixter came out and saved the day, and that's why Rixter is Mana's tag partner for November 11th. But James has said, he alluded to or said that he wanted to have he and Savanna as tag partners, and that was never going to happen, and that's my thing, and we can talk about that later or another time. But Ben's timely intervention to divert from that, saying that she would not even be allowed at ringside for their match and that she has a match of her own, her response to that was nuclear.
Oh boy.
This goes back to Savanna taking upon herself to take issue with the way we run our company. On show days, I'm the live event manager. I make sure that the doors open on time. I make sure all the seating assignments are taken care of.
And there's nobody better.
I didn't hear you, Billy.
I said, and there's nobody better at it.
Thank you. So on show day, I become pretty much the face of the company, and so Savanna has, as I said, she's pushed me in the chest. She's taken my towel, and actually on the last show where James was facing AJ, she slapped me in the face.
Slapped your glasses off of your face. I was hoping you'd get to that.
Yeah. So it very much has become a case of not only did me and Jace from Bulk Beef Jerky want to find some retribution there, but I've kind of been on a personal mission. Savannah's called Unbreakable. Well, I'm going to break her. If I have to keep throwing and finding talent, I'll break her, plain and simple. And so
that's a perfect intro for PJ, because if anybody's a candidate for that,
Madam PJ Laurier is right there. She is handpicked by me. She's a graduate of Knox Pro University. She is kind of a wild child, kind of a voodoo warrior.
Fungo.
She is. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with, plain and simple.
I was gonna say, I kind of, when watching the press conference, the little clip that I was given, I kind of got that vibe from watching her. Definitely.
Yeah. So this would be a very hard hitting matchup. The famous quote is "big meaty men slapping meat." Well, this is going to be, women that aren't going to be catfighting. These are going to be women that you're going to need a medic for when the match is done.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Now, one match on here that I was kind of excited to see, because I got a future recording scheduled with this guy, Jake Painter. Hopefully, I'm getting that name pronounced right. He's got a match, and I was excited because recently a very good friend of mine, like family, SoCal Crazy, was actually in the New Japan Dojo Showcase.
Yes.
In a tag match against him. Yes. So when I reached out to him to schedule this recording, I'm like, hey, I saw the event thing. You went up against a good friend of mine there. And we got in a little conversation about
Ben and
that.
I were at that show.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why Jake got booked on this.
Yep, absolutely.
I've seen Jake on a couple of different shows around SoCal here, and I've been incredibly impressed. So when I knew he was going to be on that dojo show, I said, Billy, let's go down there and let's watch this and see what you think about bringing him in. And this is actually going to be a first round matchup for our light heavyweight championship tournament.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was noticing that. You guys are.
We're doing the light heavyweight tournament like we did the heavyweight tournament in one night, in one show. We're actually doing the light heavyweight tournament over time, where we're going to have one tournament match per show. And it's right now slated to culminate in January of 2025. We've had one first round match already, where Rixter went over Legendarryl. This one, Jake Painter and his opponent Brandon G will be the second first round match. We'll have two more first round matches at the next two shows. Then we will get into the two second round matches, and then ultimately to the tournament finale. Like I said, with our schedule right now, always subject to change, slated to culminate in January. But yeah, I'll let Ben get back to talking about Painter. I've got my eye on him. He's got my attention, and I can talk about Brandon G afterwards. But yeah, very important first round light heavyweight championship tournament match.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so this right here, it should be a very good matchup in styles as well. Jake Painter he's known as the back-breaking artist, which was on display during that New Japan show there. And I think SoCal Crazy actually felt a couple a couple vertebrae there. So this is what I personally am looking forward to, and it's going to be a fun match for the crowd.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes. Like I mentioned, SoCal Crazy being a good friend of mine. He caught my attention when I saw him, with I believe it was a class photo sort of thing for the dojo group that went through. And I'm like, holy crap. There we go. And then I see the dojo show and I'm like, this is awesome. And then I'd seen Jake's Facebook come up on my, people you might know list. And I'm like, wait a minute. Got added in there. And then I'm like, okay, I have to get him on too. I've talked I talk regularly with SoCal, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're getting him on there.
SoCal Crazy is such a great dude as well. I've known him multiple years. I've pretty much my entire independent wrestling life has been here in Southern California. And I've been going to shows for the better part of 27 years. So it's very much a case of watching SoCal Crazy and then seeing him come back and have a new fire.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's always been good, but the classes at New Japan Pro Wrestling have taken him up to another gear.
Well, and a very personal, triumphant return for him.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. I believe I was one of the first that when he came to me and told me that he had got the clear, not only in the ring, but was probably one of the first out of state. I don't know, maybe even one of the first that he actually told that he got the cancer-free diagnosis there. I was one of the first that he gave the okay to actually post about it, because I don't know if he had really told too many people up to that point.
Right.
So that was cool. And I'm excited because also Brandon G, I've been seeing him popping up on my Facebook. You might know this person, so I might need to hop back on there. And
Brandon is out of Vegas.
Yeah. Okay.
And as such, he has appeared the most in that I'm familiar with outside of right there in Vegas. He works a lot in the high desert. I first saw him back when Destination 6 was running out of Barstow. And then the last 2 or 3 times I've seen him was at Valor Pro that runs out of Hesperia right now. In fact, their last show, and Brandon was on it, was last Saturday. Up there out of the VFW in Hesperia. Brandon he's a light heavyweight for us, but he is a light heavyweight who could be and moves like what we classify as a welterweight. He's very quick, very agile, very athletic, and he's also not above pulling out some, maybe unsavory stops and capitalizing to get a victory. So Painter, both of these guys have their work cut out for them. I think this could be a sleeper, match of the night, or at least a candidate for that.
That actually, now that we've been talking about some of this card, that right there, it was starting to pop into my head, kind of the sleeper match, the one that might steal the show. And knowing the little bits that I do about both of those, man, I'm like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, it's certainly on the table.
Definitely. Now, next match I have on my list here, I am actually somewhat familiar with at least one of the guys, because when I got my start watching independent wrestling, I was actually stationed with the Navy in San Diego, and it was a little later on during my time watching, but I remember this guy popping up fairly early in his career, Mikey O'Shea. And I'm like, okay, I am glad, because I've had some people ask me about having him on, and I'm like, yeah, eventually I wouldn't mind that, because I can.
Oh, Mikey's a great dude.
Definitely have that little story telling him, I remember you popping up in some of the shows for the first promotions I ever went to.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey wrestled down San Diego. He wrestled with SoCal Pro down there in San Diego. He's wrestled with FCW down there in San Diego. Mikey travels up and down the California coast, and he's been an Orange County veteran for years. But he's also traveled, he's made forays into the Mid-South. He's gone up to the Pacific Northwest. He wrestles in Vegas. The man travels, and the man's well known.
That he
Above
does.
beyond just TikTok. So
yeah, I've been one of the people that asked me about having him on was actually I had been following him on TikTok and seeing some of those.
My indie wrestling fandom doesn't go back nearly as far as either one of you guys. But in fact, I actually just discovered that there was a such thing as independent wrestling in mid to late 2015, and I didn't even see my first indie show until February of 2016. So in indie wise, that's only as far as I go back. But at that time, Mikey O'Shea, at least down around here in Orange County, was the top of the pops. He was he had held, either was holding or had held or was in a feud trading off the heavyweight title or whatever the top title is for just about every immediately local worthwhile promotion there was. He was the guy right here in this area, like Greater Orange County, South LA County, down as far as San Diego. San Diego, if you go back far enough, but 2016, 2017, he was the guy. And this predated the whole, like the TikTok and all that. TikTok wasn't around. But so he was the guy. And even now, excuse me, even now,
don't get choked up, Billy. It's okay.
Yeah, right. Even now, he holds 4 titles. One, his newest one, it's going to be on the line and at our show. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he holds 4 different titles right now, and he's gunning for a 5th at 3PWA here in Cypress in Orange County tomorrow night. So ever the belt collector, ever the veteran, ever the Irish juggernaut.
Oh, yeah.
And the belt, that his newest belt, is from the promotion Compton Mania. He is the Compton Mania Boulevard heavyweight champion. That I don't believe that is their top title, but it is one of their their notable secondary singles titles, and he won that recently. And the powers that be from Compton Mania reached out to me just like a week ago, and they were like, hey, you've got Mikey on your show, and he's got this title, can he run it? And I was like, well, if you say he can, then sure, why the hell not? So yeah,
we believe strongly in cooperation between promotions.
Right.
We're not going to be like, no, it's all about our people. No, this is Southern California. We should be all working together to make everything better instead of just tearing anyone down.
Yeah, that's awesome when you can have promotions, whether some of the major ones or on the independent circuit that can have that working relationship, because I've definitely been around some promotions in different parts of the country that aren't really that way. So when you can,
there's a lot of circle the wagons, a lot of us versus everybody. It's everywhere, but it's really rampant in independent pro wrestling.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see his match coming up. I know when I got started, it was back. What I'm trying to think, it was late 2009 into 2010, and I've tried to. It was sometime between then and when I left in 2012 when I would start seeing Mikey O'Shea popping up here and there, and I mean, we could talk on and on about Mikey O'Shea, but I think we kind of haven't talked too much right now about his opponent.
Well, I'm actually going to get to that, but you kind of segued me for one more thing about Mikey. Talk about having worked long enough ago, been in the business long enough, and made enough of a name for yourself to work with people who either already had been legend status or who would achieve it later. And in his first or second year, 2009 or 2010, like you were talking about, Mikey was in a faction at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood with none other than Paul Bearer and LA Knight.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I almost forgot about that.
AKA Percy Pringle and Sean Ricker.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's actually videos and pictures and whatnot of Mikey and those two and a couple other guys that I would have to actually see the pictures again to remember who they were. But to see Mikey with a legendary manager, the manager of The Undertaker, and a guy who's probably the biggest and fastest rising star in WWE right now, both in this faction with Mikey O'Shea, it's pretty cool.
Definitely, most definitely that. Wow.
But in regards to his opponent, just like the addition of the Comptomania Boulevard title was kind of last minute. I learned something even more last minute.
Which is why I'm laughing.
In a promo that King Trivviko, Mikey's opponent, dropped on us yesterday or the day before. Triv was the first Compton Mania Boulevard champion.
Huh.
So lo and behold, we've got us an angle here.
You kind of stumbled into that one, but that's awesome.
Right. One of those ones you wish you could have come up with it, kind of.
I know, right? It's always funny when you stumble on that stuff and you're like, God dang, I wish I could have thought about that before.
What do you mean? Of course I came up with that. What do you mean?
It was planned. It was planned all along.
Planned all along. It was by design.
Yeah, so that's going to be good, and then that one could be another sleeper based on the background and then kind of the story being told there. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that one's also one of those big meaty men slapping meat kind of shades there.
Yeah.
A little bit about our venue. Our venue is American Legion Post 132 in Orange, California. And it was an old armory. So we've got the main floor, and then down below street level was the firing range. And that's now known as the club room, where all the Legion members get, and they drink, and they have their Friday night dinners and all sorts of other things. But on the days that we run, it becomes known as the bomb shelter, because we've had members say it sounds like you guys are dropping bombs up there. So that one's they're gonna have to start recovery.
It sounds like the end of the world down there when wrestling is happening above your head.
I can only imagine the stuff that they would hear sitting down there when the show is going on. That's wow. That's got to be intense.
Yeah, and it's pretty. The fact that it was a shooting range, it's pretty well insulated.
I would say so. Yeah.
The fact that they're hearing all this noise, We've had more than a few Legion members who are like, "What is that?" So they come up, they buy a ticket, and then
Yep.
the next show they're first in line to buy a ticket.
That's awesome how you can get them in there like that. You know, they might not necessarily think of it at first, but then they go up, they check it out for a little bit, and then boom, now you got yourself a regular.
Yep. We get a lot of that. We are definitely homegrown, grassroots, and although I'd like to pull in a little more of the established indie wrestling crowd, but the truth is, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Hey, that's awesome. I love seeing, you know, stuff grow like that.
We're right next to what's called the Orange Circle, which is pretty much downtown Orange, California. Plenty of shops, plenty of restaurants, plenty of just life in general is around the Orange Circle. And we're always out there at least 2 or 3 times before a show where we're handing out flyers to people, we're talking to them, and we're touching base with the local businesses. And it's really nice now that we're going to show 6 where we walk into a business and they're like, "Oh, you're the wrestling guys," and we're like, "Yeah, that's us," you know. So, it's homegrown, and that's what wrestling was back in the 50s and 60s. You know, it was all about the big community effort, and they took care of the community. They did food drives, they did toy drives, they took care of the kids, and that's what we really
The territories were founded on that.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. I love, like I said, I love seeing that sort of stuff coming up, and you know, getting to grow, and you know, with the community, and you know, go from, you know, not, you know, you're getting started, having a little word jumble in my head there, but getting started, and you know, going to the point where, like you guys were saying, when you know, now going into businesses, you know, putting up flyers and posters, and then getting those reactions like, "Oh, that is awesome." That is the stuff I love to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I don't know if you got anything else on that match, but we brought up a guy, Legendarryl. Hopefully, I'm getting that right.
Yeah,
he's got a match on this show too.
Yeah, Legendarryl versus JBD, Jack Bruce Davidson. And this is pretty much a battle of the young hometown kids. Legendarryl is from Long Beach, but Jack Bruce Davidson is from Orange, California. And it happens to be Jack's birthday on November 11th.
Ooh.
So it will be a birthday show for him. Hopefully, all of his family and friends can come out there and make it. And, you know, Legendarryl has already said he's looking to spoil his birthday.
Yeah, it'll be JBD's third appearance and third match with us, but again, it is his birthday. Actually, technically, the next day is his birthday, but we're kind of kayfabing that it's his birthday.
Yeah, close enough.
You're taking someone's birthday for the means of a story? That's madness. That's never happened before.
Right. Yeah, so birthday boy, hometown kid, you know, homegrown hero. In fact, Jack, is a young, hungry, you know, up and comer anyway on the local scene. He's a hustler. He helps us get the show out, and because he's a local boy, he goes out into the circle there, and you know, presses the flesh and kisses the babies and all that and whatever. Those are his people. And again, it'll be his third time performing and competing in front of them, and it's a really good vibe. Legendarryl, on the other hand, has got kind of a nasty rep with us. You know, you can see his microphone flows freely whenever you put it in front of him, and usually not in the nice way.
As you saw from the clip of the press conference I sent you.
Yeah.
And Daryl is actually coming off of a loss in the aforementioned stay with me here, first round light heavyweight tournament match, where he went down to Rixter. So he's probably a little bitter about that, but I think he's just a lot bitter, period. And hopefully our hometown boy and hometown hero can prevail in front of his friends, family, and his community.
I think Daryl's just bitter that his favorite TV show has been off the air for about 10 years.
Damn, you went
now. Remind me what that show is, because
we're Rangers.
No, actually, How I Met Your Mother. Legend Daryl.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Legend. Wait for it.
Daryl.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Although the other one I actually have behind me here, rather proud of this one because I met the guy a couple months before he passed. Boom.
Yeah.
Jason.
I had the pleasure of meeting his daughter at a show last year.
Nice.
And that was really cool.
I took a drink of my soda and missed it. Who are we talking about?
The Green Ranger, Jason David. Okay. Yeah. So I had the chance to meet his daughter. Leo Rush brought their friends and brought her out to a show.
What was okay? Because I remember. Well, before we get too much into the tangent here, I know of a show. I believe it happened out there where he brought her there for GCW.
Yes, that's a show.
That was the show you're talking about. Okay,
yes.
I was watching that show. That was cool.
Yeah. So you probably saw me at that show. I have a habit of hanging out right where the talent comes through the doorway with the hammer.
Purely coincidentally.
Yeah, exactly. So let me grab the hammer so everyone knows I'm not talking about some body part real quick.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to the show, we talk about a little bit of everything.
Right.
Especially with the promotions, we get, we talk about the card. I remember first time I had the promoter of Warrior Wrestling on, we talked a little bit about, I know Minoru Suzuki came up. And we were talking about him and just the sheer fact of thinking like, oh God, like he is an individual that I'm like, I want to know that I'm on his good side before I even meet him, because he looks like one of those guys that, oh God, I don't want that look, that you see him have, where he just looks like he wants to rip your head off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is definitely. Although I've met a few people, one in particular, Dan Severn. I met him once.
Yes.
Where it was like, I was in line and thinking, oh my God, this guy, he looked intimidating as hell. But
Josh Barnett's another one.
But then I get to actually talking to him. I'm like, this is the coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
We actually have somebody close at hand that's like the living embodiment of that. Since we're behind the curtain here and all that, our resident mean girl, probably the unchallenged top heel at RPW, Savanna Stone, is actually the sweetest, kindness, whatever, courteous, just cool person you could ever know. and then she walks through that curtain, and all of a sudden you're scared.
Oh yeah, I've met a few people like that. I've had this conversation before on the show that it's like sometimes it seems like the people that play in front of that camera the most sadistic, vile heels behind the camera. Some of the nicest people, like hell, Swerve.
Yeah.
On camera, especially right now. Holy crap, he is playing one sadistic son of a bitch.
Yep.
But the time I met him, I was walking back to my car a little disappointed because I had some figures to get autographed, one for each of a couple people. None of them were there for the meet and greet before the show. So I'm like, well, crap. Walking in my car, I see somebody filming a promo in the parking lot. Lo and behold, it's Swerve. So I wait. Then we have a little conversation while he's signing the figure. I'm like, okay. But you mentioned you had the hammer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to see this. I might have to go back and watch that show that I was talking about. Oh my God. You know what? I remember seeing that thing on the damn show.
Yeah.
I remember it.
So it's 5 foot tall, weighs 45 pounds.
Oh my God.
It's a legitimate welterweight.
Yeah.
Wow. I do remember seeing that thing on that show. Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
Well, to get back to someone you mentioned at the top of the show, John Wayne Murdoch has actually used the hammer in a death match versus Schlack.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
So, the first person to ever use the hammer in a match is, again, a deathmatch legend, and that was Supreme. Supreme was the very first person to ever use the hammer in a match.
Nice.
And you really have to know how to work giving and receiving to use that thing, because it's 45 pounds. It's basically a 45-pound block of steel on a handle. And I mean, yeah, okay, you go a little hard way, get a little color, but if you're not careful, that thing will cave your skull in.
Well,
yeah, you definitely have to be careful with a thing as massive as that, for sure.
When Supreme used the hammer, it was against a gentleman by the name of Andre Verdun, who at the time was wrestling as Evil Lone Star. He had Lone Star on his face from Texas and everything, but he was evil indie wrestling. God love it. And he and Supreme cracked Lone Star across the head with this thing, and it was, he had the hand up there, he protected best he could, but still it just hit Verdun just right and opened a massive hardwood cut across his eyebrow.
Jesus.
And when I was after the show and I'm getting pictures of everybody, Andre looked at me and goes, "Oh, so you're the son of a bitch who almost killed me."
Oh man.
Yeah.
That is epic. Wow. I've never, can't say never had anything somewhat similar with somebody using me during a match. I had a friend who's a guy up here. He had a match and I was front row. And before I know it, he's thrown the guy onto my lap and says, "Hold his arms back." And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's stuff like that makes it more enjoyable for the fans,
Oh yeah.
If you've been going to a promotion for a long time, where you get to know the people, one of my favorite things to do is after a show is I'll buy a beer for the talent. There's one card that actually stands out in my mind. It was for oh wow, I just lost the name of the promotion, but it was at Baldwin Park, which is a VFW in Baldwin Park, and they're
wait, VFW or American Legion?
I'm sorry, the American Legion there in Baldwin Park.
Was it Rival or Bar?
It wasn't either of those actually.
Oh, okay.
It was VXS. There we go.
Okay.
VXS.
You're welcome.
And so the drink prices at American Legion, as you probably know, are rather cheap.
Yeah.
And so I started buying for the talent, and the bartenders there actually know me. And so I told them, I said, when I hit $150, let me know. And so I hit that limit, buying alcohol for all the talent on the entire card. And they said, okay, you hit your limit. I said, okay, when I hit 300, let me know.
Yes.
And so that night I was spending somewhere around $350 on alcohol for all the talent on the card. Some of the matches might have suffered from it, but some may have been made better. I'm not going to say.
You should develop an after the match rule.
Maybe.
Well, no, some people need a little
With the courage.
well, not the courage, but deadening of the senses. Going into certain matches.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Mikey O'Shea, he just posted this great picture on his Facebook page about AWS, and they would have their 5-on-5 men's versus women's match. And Mikey was participating in that match in 2017. But since it's a 5-on-5 matchup, it takes a while to introduce 10 people and get them in the ring. The fans at ringside, we kept giving Mikey beers. And so he said 5 full cans of beer before the match even started.
Oh God.
I remember that night well.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I've got the DVD.
Awesome. I got a few DVDs from the shows that I went to down there. But getting back to the show, because I've been curious. Your guys' show, November 11th, it's stacked. But the thing I'm wondering, for people that might not be able to be there live, are you guys having a way for them to be able to watch, like streaming, or are you gonna
not live? But we do tape and edit and produce all of our shows. We're actually, this is probably, as a promoter, this is probably my biggest lacking or my biggest weakness. We're still distribution, the process of distribution, paywall versus not, all that kind of stuff is kind of holding me up. And it's not even that I haven't done it yet. I keep not doing it. I keep, I tell myself that this or that is more important. Usually it's, my head is all wrapped around the next show. And I tend to worry only about the live show. But the truth is, although we had a technological faux pas, so our first show, I think we have
everything but show 2.
But show 2 is a loss, which is horrible because I think it still stands today in just about every way as our very best show. But since then, our April, July, which was our tournament, and our last show in September are all on, all recorded on, on tape, as the archaic saying would go. I should say, haven't really decided what we're going to do. You can shoot a clip out here and there, or you can shoot it to some talent in a DM as a thank you. Here's some of your work with us. But as far as actual dissemination and distribution, I can't get the fuck out of my own way when it comes to that.
No, I can understand that in a way, because when you're worrying about the promotion of the show itself and keeping your eyes on onto the next show, sometimes some of those things can be slip through the cracks, I guess.
Right.
When you're
that's a great way to put it. Those cracks are pretty big in my life.
It will happen. Everything with our promotion from the day Tom came to me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna run a promotion. You're gonna be my head of security." I was like, "Okay, no problem." It's happened at the right time in the right way. I do special event security for a living, which is, I do everything from high school proms to award shows in Hollywood that involve a certain red carpet that I'm not allowed to say live. So that's how me and Tom met. Is we're both wrestling fans, and then it turned out that we both work for the same company, just on different sides of it, different divisions. So it very much became a case of, hey, I'm gonna run a wrestling show. You're gonna be my head of security. I'm like, okay, no problem. And then it became the dates getting closer and getting closer. I'm like, I'm on board. I'll be your head of security. And the first show hits, and I very rapidly was aware of, well, we need to do this, this, and this. And I went to event mode and running a successful event. And I said, okay, show 2, I'm going to transition, and I'm going to bring someone in to help be our enforcer. And that's where, my buddy Bear came into that. And, the story of me walking into the venue with Bear behind me, because Billy had never met Bear. I'm 6'3", 375, and Bear makes me look tiny.
Oh,
so
let me pick up that ball, because although Bear didn't work for us till the second show has been said, Bear actually came with Ben to the very first show. I met Bear at our first show a year ago, September, and Ben already told you, his own dimensions. They walked in, I don't know why, but for some reason they walked in single file, and I could see the top of Bear's head and both sides of Bear around Ben as he walked fully behind him. And I've never seen anything like it.
we have an unofficial nickname for him of the mountain that walks like a man.
Yep.
And it's very appropriate.
I would say so. I haven't met the guy personally, but from everything you guys have said describing him, that does seem rather fitting.
Well, yeah. And he's also a kind of larger than life personality. He would actually be here with bells on right now, but his shoot job has him hung up right now. And it's actually, there's a tie-in. He actually works at our big aforementioned sponsor, Bulk Beef Jerky. So he is actually working at their store, their waterfront store down at Shoreline Village in Long Beach right now, or he would be here making his presence known.
Yeah. Bringing up Long Beach, that before we end things, Long Beach, that actually brings up a little memory of mine. My ship that I was on in the Navy was actually commissioned in Seal Beach, not too far away from there.
Yes.
That was Seal Beach. The Naval Weapons Station at Seal Beach was my dream billet. I was down in San Diego for my service, and that was close enough. I would go home on the weekends when I didn't have duty. It was cool enough, but I dreamed of doing a stretch right there at Seal Beach. It never happened, but yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, though, if I may, while I opened the veteran door, I want to get something out about this show.
Absolutely.
RPW is a veteran-owned company. Our main, right now, our only venue, but forever and ever, amen, our main venue is the American Legion here in Orange. And we're running on Veterans Day. And the icing on the cake, including myself, there are 5 veterans directly involved in, working on, or responsible for this show. We have 2 sailors, again, including myself, 2 soldiers, and a main event Marine. And I'm intending to kind of make a stink, make some noise, some ballyhoo about that during the opening, the introduction to the show. It means the world to me as a vet, as a member and an officer at that Legion, and to have that many vets directly involved. I mean, we basically have me, one of the ringside managers, and 3 of the wrestlers are those 5 vets. So that's just really, really cool to me. And I'm just thrilled just to be a part of that. Never mind that it's mine, but I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. You know?
No, definitely something to take pride in. I love being able to, support veteran-owned businesses, promotions. So to get this chance to, hype up things with you guys, and to know that fact that there's so many veterans involved in the show, that is awesome. I love to see it. But before we go, let's plug the social medias for Relentless Pro. So if people want to start getting their eyes on Relentless, if they don't already have them there, they can go ahead and do it.
Ben, why don't you go ahead and take that?
Well, we have of course, our Facebook page with Relentless Pro Wrestling. We are Relentless Pro Wrestling on Instagram as well. On Twitter, we are RP Wrestling _OC. Did I get that right, Billy?
I don't think so. I think it's actually underscore. No, there may not. It may just be RP Wrestling. But as long as you look for it that way, as long as you don't type out Relentless, if you go on Twitter or X, and you look for RP Wrestling.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I just got told actually it is it is the full name. The at is RP Wrestling, but I guess it's Relentless _Pro _Wrestling.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's how you actually find it, and that's our Twitter or X. And then the real quick, Ben, the Facebook, that is actually a business or fan page. It's not a personal account. That's what some people call a like page.
Yeah.
And that's just Relentless Pro Wrestling.
All right. We'll get all that in the descriptions. Mm-hmm. But
and then my personal Instagram is as you see on the screen, Orange County _Hammer. You can follow me there because of course, I share all the show descriptions and everything, and promote the show as much as possible. And then Bear Matthew Palmer is on Instagram as well and on Facebook.
Something about your page, Ben, that I think they'll appreciate with the wrestling history. If you go to Ben's Instagram, again, the Orange County Hammer, maybe on Facebook too, but I know it's all over the Instagram. If you scroll down far enough, the talent and star photos with the hammer from all over the place, and all the way up to big stars and legends down to indie people you might not have even heard of, but everybody either has or someday will take a picture with the hammer, and that's all on Ben's Instagram. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. I'm gonna definitely be taking a look at that after we get done recording here. I'm actually curious to see that now. But anyways, November 11th, Relentless Pro Wrestling. Thank you guys for coming on today. I love being able to help in any way I can. I'm excited to see how this show turns out. Best of luck. I'm excited for you guys.
Well,
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. I've been looking forward to this particular podcast and excited about it for, well, as long as I knew we were going to do it. And you said Monday, right?
Monday. Yep.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to be embarrassed at myself. and I can't wait to blast it out everywhere during the week, the go home week for the show. So again, thank you so much for having us.
That means a lot. Before we end things here, that the whole embarrassing yourself thing, that's kind of why I have yet, funny fact, I have yet to actually watch back any episode after I'm done.
Wow.
I have not watched back one because I would be picking myself apart.
Right.
I kind of do that with our press conferences. You know, we do the press conference before every show. We do that a month out from every show. And it's one of those ones where I force myself to go back and watch it, you know, even though I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I hold my hands that way? Or, you know, but sometimes you got to bite the bullet to get better on that. So.
Oh, yeah, I can totally relate. But anyways, that is about all we have for today. Once again, thank you so much for coming on, hyping up your show. Again, I can't wait to see how this one turns out.
Thank you very much, Mo. I look forward to this and hopefully come back many more times in the future.
Oh, you guys are welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. All right. Well, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us, and we're out.
I got
all right. Have a good one, guys.
All right.